Yeah, George, let me answer that real quick for you. Say you mostly eat fruit and drinking distilled, drinking urine and distilled water. But I was watching these raw meat eaters that tried a fruit diet and they went back and they went into a raw meat diet and felt better. Yeah, they feel better because that's what they're used to. They're used to that. But raw fruit is of higher vibe. It's of a higher value, 1,000 times higher, because it's actually a living food system that's supposed to be in the human body, and it makes them feel bad because it's cleansing them. It's cleansing them from all of the toxic nature that they were. And when you go through cleansing, it doesn't feel good. A lot of people have, you would call it an adverse reaction to fruit. That's what they would call it. But it's because they couldn't stick to it because it was too powerful for them. It was they were living off the death of another rather than, you know, it's I see the transition. I went through the transition from all, you know, it's there's always a transition stage. In healing, there's always that hell, that hell phase of going, oh, it's hot, I'm sweating, I'm fluing, this can't be good, this is not as good. And it's a lower vibe food. If just look at it this way, the animals are on the ground, the fruit's up there. What's higher vibe? What's what are those animals eating? You know what I mean? Those animals are eating the food, are eating the fruit and the vegetables. So why not skip the middleman? Why eat the animal? It's so ridiculous. And back to this, they're not eating raw meat. George, let me help you one more time. They're not eating fucking raw meat. They're eating meat that's about 2 weeks old. Do you know how when the meat that's in the store that says fresh? No, the meat that's in the store, they cut the neck, hung it upside down, and let it sit there for 2 weeks to drain the blood out and clean it. The whole thing. It took 2 weeks to get to the store, and then when they got their raw meat, it wasn't raw. They didn't go rip the thing open and eat all the blood, and they drained all that shit out. They just and did they cook it or they just grabbed the meat? They just grabbed it right there. No, they had them. It's a whole process. It takes a while, so it's not raw. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. uh, Jack Krause. I'm familiar with the name a little bit. So you said this counts as being social? Does it? I mean, I think so. Maybe. I mean, for me, I like human interaction. I mean, this is, it's a somewhat like I can't see any of you. Even if I could see you, it's kind of human interaction. But if I was like, oh, I would like to touch this person, and I'm like, oh, I touched the computer. Not really. You know what I mean? There's vibes we send through it, but it's social. I'll give you that. Okay, okay, Torin, this is social, but for me, I need I want to smell somebody's fucking burp because I don't know if you were on the other day when I was reading that Don Tolman bit about smell, aromacology, soils and oils, and all of this, but I'm interested in the smell of people. I'm interested in the smell of people and what people sound like. I don't really care what anybody looks like. My eyes deceive me all the time. I want to hear the acoustics of them. I want to smell them. Can you smell me? You know what I mean? Because this goes right to the brain. This shit is all weird. Like these things right here, they're all, I don't know. It's like I don't can I see the same thing you're seeing? But we all smell the same. You can't fool the nose. And the ears, the acoustical properties. Always, I enjoy that. The resonance factor, beings of resonance. Yeah. So you guys get me to a degree acoustically. I mean, it does have to go through a digital device, so you're not getting an analog of my voice. You're getting a digital representation of an analog, which means what it does is it takes something that is a waveform like this, and it generates what looks like a waveform, but it has to be a step function. Does that make sense? That every piece of the wave is a new bit. Like it's doing this. If you look real close, it's a box that turns into another box. So my voice has to go doop, 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 doop. even though in analog terms, it's actually making a perfect curve. Does that make a lot of sense? So you hear me, but it's just slightly not as it's not as I don't know, rich or warm. It's not as yeah, I think that's the words. I got an analog synthesizer, and it gives a rich, warm sound. It has two analog. It has two bulbs in it, and it takes the digital sound and runs it through this analog. The analog. It takes a synthesized sound and runs it through this analog, which warms up the sound. It gets rid of all of the blocks, and so it's pretty fresh. Changes the sound quite a bit. Do I think the frequencies that I played? I think it has it's a very close effect. It's as close as you can get. I think if we have, I think people that there's computers that run on, there's binary and trinary computers. I think trinary computers could accomplish this. A trinary computer, meaning a digital computer can do two functions. So it's on or off, right? So that's giving you a square. But if we can triangulate something, you can pull that square into a J curve. So I think a trinary computer could accomplish making the sound exact. But trinary computers are not very popular. I don't know. I don't think anybody here even knows trinary computers exist for the most part. And would someone own one? And if you owned one, how could we link that up? I don't know. I don't know how that works. But a trinary computer, I think, could accomplish the task of making an analog sound. Boom. Sometimes I wonder how I know all this shit. Yeah, instead of wavelengths, because the wavelength. So like you go in the ocean wave, there's that wave, right? It's this, but to make it in the digital world, it has to be digits. Yeah, well, the frequency on YouTube, Torin, I did these couple meditations. What's up, Dan and Drew? I'll talk to you in 1 second. I was doing these. Hey, let me give a little clue. Don't do 8 hour theta or delta things when you're sleeping. Don't put the earplugs in and do that, because just don't do that. Here's why. Because what you're doing is you're opening up your portal to your whole being when you go to sleep. And by putting that frequency in, you have to trust that you know exactly that frequency is what it says it is, and it comes from somebody with authentic purposes. Or else you can get stuck into a realm you don't want to be in, and that's happened, and it's not delightful. And most of the time you wake up, and most of the time, and if you have control, it doesn't matter. But if you don't have control over those realms, those binaural beats, those isochronic beats, and those theta delta realms, it could put you in a really, really strange, awkward place. Do short ones, because what they're doing is they're putting you on a certain wavelength. It's a digital wavelength, but so it's close enough. But it puts you in that realm. And if you don't have control over your dream world, if you're not lucid and been through astral realms, you be in a place for a little bit. It's uncomfortable, or it could be very comfortable too. So don't get me wrong. There's plenty of reasons. I put it out there before. There's plenty of reasons to use these things, but use them when you're awake or when you're in a meditation, and use short ones until you're very comfortable with it, and you know that that person, that label, that whatever it's putting you on a good wavelength. So little trick. Shit is the German company that makes really nice DACs. They're not the shit. They're the shit. Yeah, there you go. Journey of Light and Path. Good to see you, man. Yeah, that's why you can't. Yeah, frequency can take over light. Sonoluminescence, right? Creating like holographic realities. I mean, a lot of people say we live in a holographic reality. I mean, we obviously we do to a degree, and so those sounds can really alter the acoustics, adjust things that not only are that are out there, but like the way that you see things.